In Scotland, I think some of them do get buried here. Um, I don't know how many will allow to be cremated because a lot of religion doesn't allow for crem. Oh, I don't see any reason why someone should not be cremated because even in our oral history that was passed down, there had not been anything that says don't cremate. I don't. My parents never brought down don't ever burn anybody or don't ever. But majority of us will have the burial. But still, I believe that most of us will also send messages back home to let them know that the person is late. And whatever ceremony needs to be done, they will do back home. And if they don't, it's not then officially recorded. So you cannot have the person die here and then if they still have contact with their roots and not tell them at home officially to send a message to say some people if you don't send a message they'll say they had a rumor. So whenever you think they will forget, you'll be surprised you go 50 years time. They say, oh, we had a rumor your brother died. Where is he? Then you now start giving long story. Obviously they'll fine you. Or which is not necessary. Or if you were looking for something for your children or land or anything, they'll refuse you based on that. So normally everybody will want to stay clean of any of those interruption or being accused of murder or and the person knows it's wrong. They'll say, oh, maybe you killed him and you buried him over there. So it better most of us will send a message back home. This person have, and some people who can afford it will bring the older people. Not some of them if they're older than the person who obviously cannot see, but will be present at the burial here in Scotland. But it's too expensive to carry a corpse these days. It's really the ones that maybe for some reason the family there can afford it, but the person over there who is probably can't believe or will not take that the child is buried outside or the tradition, they will have to take the body back. Because I had two instances like that. My mother could not take that my brother Jude should be buried in Boston. We had a funeral in Boston. She wanted her son back home. She just will not. So I was sent to go and bring the corpse back from Boston. And for me, that was another story. Something I've never gone. It was a trying time for me. But since I was instructed by my father that I was actually not the most oldest or anything like that, but the most of, during that time in their life, the child that they would say, go and help us with this, I would try my best to get it done. So I went and brought my brother's corpse to my mom. And I know even in her mourning, they have different ways. My brother didn't have any wife or child, but the way my mother mourned him was just something else. When she saw that I have arrived and I walked into her sitting room and she said, I hear he's here. I said yes. And then she said, that was when she started the traditional mourning for him. She before then refused. She told my dad she doesn't mind how he gets the body here. He has to. So when he landed, she started tying back. I could never forget it. She started tying back black thread. She had a roll of black thread. That's how they signified death. Remember we talked about symbols? Different symbols, that would be another interview, means different things. Even if you have a baby or you are married, there's a sign you put. People will know in the market you're a new bride. There are symbols for, new baby, twins, triplets, those have had triplets, I have 5 grandchildren, I have 2. There are symbols for all that people, congratulations, hi, your grandchildren. But my mom started this on the floor. She started tying black thread on all of us children. On our left hand, I can remember, it was our left hand, and she started crying. And that was her starting, and they started lamenting, and they have songs and singing song for her son. And then she wasn't allowed to see him being buried, but she insisted she wanted to see his body. That she wants to make sure it's not the wrong person, number one. Whether it was me that went to see, she wanted to make sure it's Jude, and she wanted to be sure it's Jude Abiodun Ehizeli, was his Asian name. So she loved him very much, But he was a good brother. He was a good son to his mom, and she started mourning him, put the thread on, fell on the floor. Then they said, well, because he didn't have any children and he didn't have a wife, that they would bury him in Lagos. They won't take him to the village. So they got my mom has a property not too far away from the house. My father said, well, he wouldn't be there when they put him down, but he wants to walk because my brother also has so many friends. He's one of these boys with so many friends. Thousands of people showed up that he wants to walk with the entourage that goes to the grave. And here is this woman. She opened it and she started praying. She put, I don't know what she put in his hand, the fighting thing. I don't know. She put it in his hands and she says, well, whoever killed you, we pray you fight with the ancestors to fight back. I don't have the police to fight for you. I have nobody to fight for you. But I pray that your soul fights back. So she continued this lamenting. I just could not, but I just knew that she has to be left alone because it was the way she traditionally accepted that he was dead. And then later now, she had this solace to believe that he's coming back. Remember when my sister now got pregnant, she now says, oh, he's reincarnating. He was a good son, he's coming back, So at least that gave her solace to be dotting over this child to say it was Jude that had reincarnated, So it might be actually to do with their own healing system, It might be to do with that. I don't know, So that was how burials and some of these things go. It's more elaborate than this, but still, most people cannot. My uncle also, there was an uncle in London who, from my father's side, could not afford to really go, or he didn't want to be buried here. So he made it very clear he wants to be taken back. So the Nigerian community rallied up the money and they took him back to go and die. He had Parkinson's disease and he knew he was going. So when he knew towards the tail end, he said, I don't want to be buried outside. I want to go home. That's what he said. But he was a British, his sisters were here with him and all that. And his senior sisters now had to rally to get him back home. And then he went home and died. But most people will just want to be buried here. I want to be buried in Scotland. So, but there are ceremonies as a chief, for me to tell my people what to do to announce my death so I don't want my children to go wasting a lot of money, suffering, and to take me to the village, so they could use the money to pay a mortgage or something, So I'd rather just keep it simple, and then the rest of the traditional thing will be done traditionally, without people disturbing them to bring my cups. That's what I feel. So I think most people are coming that way too, this generation, because we are not as elaborately wealthy, like no savings, we might be all dressed up, but no big bank account sitting there, unless you've been doing other things, if you're honestly working, you don't have elaborate money to carry your cups back to Ishan land. I don't think so.